It's Julian Jackson, your favorite real estate agent in the Atlanta area. And today we are in the Collier Heights neighborhood. Specifically, right now, we are at the Dr. Mary Shy Scott Memorial Park. And for today's tour, we're going to be checking out the real estate in the neighborhood. We're going to be driving the neighborhood. It's kind of rainy out here, but you're going to have a pretty good idea of what the neighborhood looks like. I'm going to show you around some of we'll call it the commercial district in the Collier Heights neighborhood. And we're also going to check out this park. So stay tuned, enjoy the show, enjoy the ride. Thank you for subscribing, thank you for liking, and let's get into it. Hey y'all, it is Julian Jackson, your favorite real estate agent in the Atlanta area. For today's tour, we are covering Collier Heights, and Collier Heights has so much information about it. I definitely recommend checking it out, doing a Google search on just some of the history of the area. It's pretty incredible. Collier Heights was an African American neighborhood built by African Americans, which was very atypical of the time. There's some pretty notable, famous African Americans that at one time lived in Collier Heights. You have Martin Luther King, you have Donald Hollowell, which has a street named after. Ralph and Juanita Abernathy, there's a street called Ralph Abernathy. Christine King Harris, Emmanuel Lewis from Webster, Jasmine Guy from A Different World, and Herman Russell, who was a very notable contractor. I'm going to be talking about them when I drive by their house. But Herman J. Russell is a very well-known contractor. The story is that they built on a piece of land that wasn't very buildable, but because of their contacts and being a commercial contractor, they were able to make a piece of land that wasn't very buildable, a very buildable lot. Just so much history in the area. Anyway, from the time of 2016, home prices in the neighborhood were for land as low as about $12,000, and it went up to about $450,000. Now, that $450,000 house was the home of Herman Russell, and honestly, if the house were on the market today, it would sell over $1 million. At least that's my belief. It's just an incredible house. You'll see when I drive by. On the 2024 time period, you have land selling from about $110,000 up to about $425,000. There's so many sales. I didn't even cover a 365-day period, a year period of time, simply because there's so many sales that has happened. I really recommend, again, checking out more of the history on Google. It's a great drive. It's a great just neighborhood of historic homes to drive through. I have so many positive feelings for the area, and I think as more and more changes happen in the surrounding area, the values are just gonna continue to go up. But anyways, let's get into the tour. Enjoy the ride. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call or send me an email, and enjoy yourselves. We are first starting this tour off on Collier Drive Northwest. Collier Heights is a rather large neighborhood in the Atlanta area. On the north end of the neighborhood, you're going to run into the Brookview Heights neighborhood. On the east side, you're going to run into Center Hill. On the south side, you're going to run into the West Haven neighborhood. And on the west side, you're going to run into the Fairburn Heights neighborhood, and also the Bankhead Bolton area. I also want to add that Collier Heights on the west and southbound side are sandwiched in between two interstates. You have I-285 on the west side, and on the south end you have I-20. All right, now, so let's go back. This neighborhood was built around the 1950s to the 1960s. And as I already told y'all before, this neighborhood was an African American neighborhood built by African Americans. That is very important when you're learning about the history of this neighborhood. I want you to think about prominent African Americans in the 1950s and 1960s. I need you to think about segregation. Well, the reason I bring this up is because African Americans weren't allowed into many of the public places, whether it was bars or just areas that to go to dance or areas to go into to networking, think golf courses and things along that line. Black people weren't able to get into these areas. So if you're a prominent Black person, African American in this time period, you had a home that could also be an area to have these gatherings, have these parties. And this is exactly what was done. If you go inside one of these homes in the Collier Heights neighborhood, you're more likely going to see an awesome basement bar. You might see an area to go dancing. These homes have incredible basements, and one of the reasons is because Black people, African Americans, weren't allowed into many of the public areas. All right, now, so we are currently on Dale Creek Drive Northwest. I spent so much time focusing on the past that I forgot to mention the present. Currently, the Collier Heights neighborhood has the esteemed mayor, Andre Dickens, living in the neighborhood. Won't tell you where he lives, but he does live in Collier Heights. We are now traveling on Duffield Drive Northwest. Duffield is a pretty cool street. It has a roundabout right at the end, so you're gonna get to see both sides of the road. We are now traveling on Larchmont. Larchmont is a pretty long street in the Collier Heights neighborhood. It starts off as Larchmont Drive Northwest, and then it turns into Larchmont Circle Northwest. We are now on Larchmont Circle Northwest. So we've seen several streets in the Collier Heights neighborhood. Let's switch this up a little bit and check out some of the businesses, and let's check out a park that's also in the Collier Heights area. I wouldn't really say that Collier Heights has a business district. It does have a string of businesses that touch the neighborhood. Right now, we are traveling from about Hamilton E. Homes to I-285 of Donnelly Hollowell. I just want y'all to see the type of businesses that are currently here, and you'll get a taste of opportunities in the area. We are now entering Dr. Mary Scott Memorial Park. This park includes a playground for kids, a tennis court, a basketball court, and a baseball field. Now that we have checked out several businesses and a park in the Collier Heights neighborhood, let's get back to the residential. This first property right here is the H.J. Russell House, which I talked about earlier. There's so much history, and you can definitely look in some avenues online and you'll find out a lot of information about this H.J. Russell House and the lot that it's built on. This lot goes very far downhill, and because of the connections that H.J. Russell had, and he's a commercial builder, he was able to use this property to the full potential. It goes downhill pretty rapidly in the back, and they're able to add a swimming pool in the back and a tennis court. It's a pretty awesome property. And before I finish driving on the street, I should tell you that we are on Shorter Terrace. We are now traveling on Waterford Road Northwest. Waterford is another one of those pretty long streets in the Collier Heights neighborhood. So let's enjoy the view, and I'm gonna chime in a little bit. We are now driving on Skipper Drive Northwest. In case you didn't notice, Waterford turns into Skipper Drive Northwest. I have no information on why this change happens, but it is what it is, and we're gonna keep on driving. All right, so we are now traveling down Aline Drive Northwest. Aline Drive Northwest does turn into Laverne. When we get a little bit further down Aline, I'm going to show you exactly where the road changes. So just stay tuned for that. All right, so we are now driving down Aline, and Aline turns into Laverne. There's this one little stop sign. Well, it's not even a stop sign. It's just a sign on a pole that tells you that you're crossing from Aline to Laverne. I'm gonna pause it right there so you can see, and that is the division between the two roads. For the final street on this tour, we are traveling down Baker Ridge Drive Northwest. We're gonna check out several of these homes on the street, and then I'm gonna pop in at the end and have some final words. Congratulations, you have made it to the end of the Collier Heights neighborhood tour. Thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing. I have some other videos on neighborhoods like English Avenue, West End, Cascade Heights. Don't hesitate to check those out. As you've seen in the Collier Heights neighborhood, there has been a lot of changes in price points, going from under $100,000 not so long ago to going past $400,000 and $500,000 price point today. You got to check out some of the homes, some of the business areas. I hope you've enjoyed the tour. Stay tuned for some of the upcoming videos. Y'all have a great day.